Hey everybody, Ingenious Baboon here. We're gonna move on to lesson number 4. Lesson number 4 is about expressions. We're gonna start talking about the 4 main expressions, and then I'm gonna explain to you how those 4 main expressions can become 6 new hybrid expressions and why. And of course, what I'm telling you does not something like a golden rule that cannot be broken, but it's good to have these in mind if you want to create a different set of expressions, or maybe if you want to have some kind of Justice League combo of heroes. It's good to have this set of psychologies because they represent the range of human psyche in a simple enough way so that you can attract the biggest range of viewers for your story. And that doesn't mean that you are being cheap or anything. That just means that you are trying to tell your story to the bigger audience so they can see your point of view, which is also something that the writer wants sometimes. Maybe not, but sometimes that's what. The expressions, how do they work, and how simple is it? There are 4 main expressions. The first expression is that I would like to start with. Well, I'm gonna actually see if you guys can guess. So I'm gonna make draw this rectangle. I'm gonna divide it into 4 compartments. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. In the first compartment, I'm gonna put the first expression. So this expression, these 2 lines, what expression do they represent? So 2 downward lines like this that are not connected in the middle. They could be sometimes, but they are not. What do they represent? What happens when you go like this with your eyebrows? You're mad, you're angry. Anger, they represent anger. So let's move on to the second. Let's go with the opposite now. Let's still those eyebrows, because clearly those 2 lines are representing eyebrows here. Let's still those eyebrows the opposite way. What happens when you go like this? You feel what? Afraid, worried. You feel fear, vanishing mode. You just want to vanish. You want to run. Or you're afraid, or you're in pain. You could have this expression when you're in too much pain and you're crying. So now let's move on to the next one. Now let's soften these 2 lines a little bit and move them a little bit away from the eyebrows. Let's move to the cheeks, cheekbones. What emotion do you see when you see 2 lines like this, inverted C's like this? Well, the emotion is happiness, a smile, a laughter. When someone laughs, their cheekbones, they go up, and what happens? They are laughing, so their eyes look like inverted U's, right? Which makes them look that they're laughing, which is also the way to know if your cat or dog is happy. You see their eyes go like this, right? It's a universal language here you are learning, my friends. If I want to put the eyes here, they would be above. Or even sometimes, if the person is too jolly, they would be what? They would be closed, right? Like a happy, jolly Santa Claus looking guy or gal. So now let's move on to the final one, the neutral expression. It's very simple. I gave it away, no need to guess. All you have to imagine is 2 lines that are next to each other, not going in any direction, and the eyes would be half covered, and you would be expressing neutrality. Now this expression is very nuanced and very funny, and also could be very sad and very horrific. It can have a very interesting range of things that can be said in a story, depending on the scenario throughout this emotion. It's really fun to play with this emotion. All the emotions are fun to play with, and that's what we're gonna do next. So, if you wanna apply what we did in the previous lesson with the faces, and draw them in straight view and side view and 3/4 view, you can go ahead and try and do these views 4 times, each view in one of these emotions. And now I'm going to move on to what can come out from these emotions, which is the 6 hybrid emotions that are extremely important when it comes to expression and storytelling and character creation. So these 6 hybrid emotions are 6 and only 6. Why? Because if we wanted to mix all of these emotions together, so anger was 1, sadness was 2, happiness was 3, and neutrality was 4. So let's go back to the 6 emotions. So those 6 emotions, if I wanted to mix them out of these 4 emotions, how would they be created? So it's very simple. Each emotion cannot mix twice. So if I mix 1 with 2, if I mix anger with worry, worry and anger is going to be the same thing. 2 and 1 is going to be the same as 1 and 2, which is why mixing those 4 emotions will only gives us 6 variations. And I'm going to start by putting anger and worry together, which is kind of cool because you're going to get 2 dashes that are parallel to each other, kind of like this, and one eye is going to be here. And I know it doesn't really look like an emotion, and I'm going to tell you why it doesn't iconically here look like something. Because those hybrid emotions are not, they don't have to be on the left eye in one emotion and on the right eye in another, even though they could be sometimes like this when people have a different eyebrow going in different directions. They can be expressing on one half an emotion and on the other half an emotion. That can actually happen. But also what sometimes happen, the person will have on the upper, a bit above their eyebrow, they will have some kind of anger, and below their eyebrow they will also have some kind of worry, which will make their eyebrows an S shape, right? So that's how I want you to think about the hybrid emotions. They are traveling from side to side. They're not on one side and the other only. They can be like this sometimes. If you also only want to draw them like this, you could have fun. Maybe in some cartoonish styles to simplify things, they just keep them like that. But there is no like absolute rule, honestly, when it comes to this stuff. It's all about the style of the person as well. So let's move on to the second one. So now we did 1 and 2, which means 2 and 1 is also done, right? So I'm gonna do 1 and 3 next, which is angry and happy. So I'm gonna put anger on one side and happiness on the other. Now this looks something way more familiar, because we're all familiar with the Joker and all those mad, evil geniuses. They all have happiness and anger fused together in their persona, right? So they become mad, right? They laugh as they are angry, as they are inflicting something that is painful, which is charismatic in a way sometimes to look at, and very beautiful to see in an arc of a story. But not in real life, when you're like waiting in line to buy your groceries and you see someone ahead of you laughing like that. That's not very fulfilling. Alright, so let's move on. Third expression is gonna be anger and neutrality. So anger and neutrality, which is kind of common as well on an old veteran. He will be in a state of angry eyebrows, but also will have a little bit of neutrality. For example, of course there's an infinity of examples, but this is the first one that came to my head. So now we have done anger with worry, with happiness and neutrality. But anger does not belong in this category because these are the hybrid expression. So we have mixed anger with everything. So now let's move on to the next emotion, which is worry. So worry has already been mixed with anger, so we still have to mix it with only the 2 other expressions, which are happiness and neutrality. So I'm gonna put the worried eyebrow on this side now, and happy eyebrow on this side. Now you might wonder, when will I see a worried and happy person at the same time? We can admit this is quite rare, but actually not as rare as you might think. For example, someone who's pretending, who's lying, might have a worried, a little hint, or be a little bit worried as they pretend to be happy, because they want to pretend like everything is fine, but deep down they're a little bit worried because they are lying and they don't want anyone to notice. for example, or somebody that's masking their pain in front of people they don't want to show that they are in pain, for example. It could be altruistic, it doesn't have to always be evil as well. That's worry and happiness. Now the second one, which is the final one for worry, is neutrality. And worried and neutral is also very common, like someone who's at the end of their day shift, they come back home, they see the house empty, right? They come back to an empty house, they will have a bit of a worried look on their face and neutral because they're so exhausted. They'll be neutral and they'll be worried once they open, for example, the door to enter home, and then you show the pet coming in and bringing in sunshine into their life. So now the final emotion, and why is it the final? Well, because when we did anger was worry, with the other emotion we took already one of the second emotions, which was worry, so we only had to do it with two other emotions. And now happiness already has been done with worry and anger, which means it only needs to be done with neutrality. So this is a happy, neutral person, which is very common nowadays. Most sociopaths are happy neutral. A parent at a conference, at a teacher conference or something, would have this expression. I don't know, I'm just imagining some kind of scenario where the person is trying to look happy just to maintain, not to discourage the person looking at them, but when they're actually quite bored, they might have an expression of neutrality and happiness at the same time as they struggle. So these are very cool hybrid emotions that you can create a range and also an infinity of expressions from, especially with the hybrid emotions. And also the thing about the hybrid emotions is they're a little bit like the three-quarter view. They're a little bit more common than the pure emotions. The pure emotions are like emotions that you see on the main characters of an anime, like Goku. Goku is very pure. Most of his emotions are pure-hearted, so he will like be fully angry, fully sad, fully happy. Unlike, I don't know, maybe Piccolo, which is maybe more nuanced, more intelligent and more complicated and complex in his thoughts, so he will have a range of emotions as he thinks, so he will express himself with his eyebrows differently. So this is an example of how you can think of these emotions. And if you want to create a group of characters that want to complement each other, you should put those emotions in front of you and try to create that group based on covering the range of all the emotions so that they complement each other in a way where that group feels perfect without even knowing why it is perfect. And of course, if you want to practice doing faces and drawing them in different angles, try doing that as you also draw those emotions, either the pure ones or the hybrid ones. It will help you greatly. And if you want to create scenes and you don't know how and where to start, try doing faces and giving them random emotions, and you will realize that this guy looks like he's telling that guy something, and this guy looks like he's replying to him in a certain way. And you can then improvise certain scenarios, and you can ask your friends, what do you think this guy is saying, what do you think that guy is saying, and they would each tell a different story that would sometimes be extremely funny, extremely horrific, or extremely whatever. It's just fun. You can have fun like that just by drawing emotions. So enjoy and see you in the next lesson.